is a close friend of mine. His bike is not the first bike I will ever stand.
What?
I hit him with stone. I know his mom and his younger brother.
Okay.
This man named Babalola committed a crime that shocked the whole of Ondo State, and he did something so evil to his own childhood friend that even the police commissioner was angry. Babalola was 39 years old and he had a friend he grew up with who was 34 years old. But he decided to kill this friend just because he wanted to steal a motorcycle and sell it for money. He did not care about the years they spent playing together or the fact that they knew each other's families, because his heart was full of greed and he wanted the 130,000 naira he would get from selling the bike. On the day of the crime, Babalola lured his friend to a quiet place in the bush near the Okeibo area where nobody would see them, and he waited for the right moment to strike his friend from behind. When the friend realized that Babalola wanted to take his motorcycle, he tried to fight back and struggled to keep his property, but Babalola was determined to finish the job he started. Babalola picked up a very big stone from the ground and used all his strength to hit his friend on the head until the poor man fell down and could no longer move or breathe. After the man was dead, Babalola took a heavy piece of wood and continued to hit the man's head many times to make sure he was gone forever, before dragging the body into a deep pit in the bush. Babalola thought that by dumping the body in a pit and covering it with leaves and dirt, that the secret would stay hidden in the bush forever and he would go on to enjoy the money he made from the stolen bike. He left the body there to rot while he took the motorcycle to a buyer and collected the sum of 130,000 naira, which is not even a lot of money compared to the life of a human being. For 12 whole days, the body of his childhood friend stayed in that pit while the family of the victim was crying and looking everywhere for their son, but they did not know that the killer was right there with them. Babalola was so wicked that he even saw the mother and the younger brother of the man he killed, and he did not feel any pity for them or tell them where the body was hidden. He stayed in the community and acted like everything was normal, while the police were starting to look into the disappearance of the young man because his family reported that he had not come home for many days. The police detectives in Ondo State are very smart, and they started asking questions around the town to find out who was the last person seen with the missing man on the day he disappeared. Eventually, the clues started pointing toward Babalola because people knew they were close friends and they had been seen together shortly before the young man went missing from the community. When the police finally arrested Babalola and started questioning him, he could not keep the lie going for very long because the weight of what he did was too heavy, and he eventually confessed to the mother. He told the officers exactly where he had dumped the body and how he had used a stone and wood to kill his friend just because of a motorcycle that he sold for a small amount of money. The police commissioner Abayomi Oladipo was so shocked by the cruelty of the crime that he decided to lead the team of officers himself to the location where the body was dumped to see the crime scene. They had to travel for about an hour on the road and then walk into the bush before they finally arrived at the pit where the smell of the decomposing body was already filling the air. This was the end of the road for Babalola because his secret was finally out and the whole world was about to find out how he betrayed his best friend for money. The most chilling part of this story is how Babalola behaved during the 12 days after he killed his friend and before the police caught him, because he acted like he was a completely innocent man. He went back to his life as a fruit trader and spent the money he got from the motorcycle while the body of his friend was rotting in a pit not too far away from where they lived. Can you imagine sitting down to eat or sleeping in your bed knowing that your childhood friend is dead because of your own hands and his family is out there crying for help? Babalola did not show any signs of fear or regret during those 12 days, and he even had the guts to look at the victim's mother in the face when she was searching for her son. The police were very curious about how a man could be so heartless, and they wanted to know if this was the first time he had ever stolen a motorcycle from someone he knew in the town. During his confession, Babalola admitted that this was not the first time he had stolen a bike, but this was the first time he had killed someone to get what they wanted from them. Before we continue with how the police found the body, please subscribe to Trem Crime Zone right now. We tell these stories so you can learn how to stay safe and recognize the signs of a fake friend before it is too late. By subscribing, you support our work in bringing justice to the light, and you will never miss a new video about real-life events. The police commissioner Abayomi Oladipo was very unhappy with the people who owned farms around the area where the body was dumped because they noticed a very bad smell coming from the pit for many days. Instead of calling the police to report that something was wrong or that there might be a dead body in the bush, these farm owners just ignored the smell and continued with their work like nothing happened. The commissioner said that if people had reported the smell earlier, the police might have found the body much sooner and the family would not have had to suffer for 12 days without knowing the truth. It is very important for everyone in a community to be the eyes and ears of the police because criminals often hide their victims in places where they think nobody is watching or listening. When the police finally got to the pit, they saw that the body was in a very bad state because it had been there for a long time in the heat and the rain. The officers had to use special equipment and follow safety rules to remove the remains from the pit so they could take them to the hospital for an autopsy to confirm how the man died. Babalola stood there and watched as the police pulled his friend out of the death, and he had to face the reality of what his greed had caused for everyone involved in this sad situation. He told the reporters who were following the police that he could not explain how he felt when he saw the mother of the man he killed because he knew he had destroyed his life forever. The community members who gathered to watch the police work were shouting and cursing at Babalola because they could not believe that a fruit trader they knew could be a cold-blooded killer. Everyone was talking about how dangerous it is to trust people even if you have known them since you were children because you never know what someone is thinking in their heart. The motorcycle that was the cause of all this trouble was eventually recovered by the police from the person who bought it from Babalola after the murder took place. This buyer will also have to face questions from the police because buying stolen property is a crime and it often encourages people like Babalola to commit more robberies in the future.
The investigation into Babalola did not stop at the pit because the police wanted to make sure they had all the evidence needed to send him to court and ensure he never walks free again to hurt another person. They collected the stone and the wood that he used as weapons, and they also took statements from the people who saw him with the victim on the day of the disappearance. In Ondo State, the news of this murder spread very fast because people were horrified that a man could kill his childhood friend for just 130,000 naira, which is about $80. This small amount of money was enough for Babalola to decide that his friend's life was no longer important and that he deserved to die just so he could have some cash in his pocket. The police commissioner made it clear that the state has zero tolerance for this kind of violence and that they will prosecute Babalola to the full extent of the law. He also warned other young people that crime does not pay and that the police will always find out the truth no matter how deep you bury it in the bush. The family of the victim is currently in a state of deep mourning because they have lost a son and a brother who was only 34 years old and had many years of life ahead of him. He was a hard-working man who used his motorcycle to make a living and support his family, but all of that was taken away in one moment of madness by a person he called a friend. The mother is especially heartbroken because she remembers Babalola coming to their house when he was a young boy, and she never thought he would be the one to kill her child. The younger brother of the victim is also very angry and he wants to see justice served quickly so that his brother can rest in peace and the killer can pay for his sins. Many people in the Okeigbo community are now afraid to go to their farms alone because they feel that there might be other people like Babalola hiding in the bushes waiting to attack them for their property. The police have promised to increase patrols in the area to make sure that the farmers feel safe and that no more bodies are dumped in the pits of the forest. Babalola is now waiting in a police cell for his day in court, where a judge will listen to the evidence and decide what his punishment will be for the murder of his friend. In Nigeria, the punishment for murder can be very severe, and many people are calling for Babalola to receive the death penalty because of how heartless and planned his crime was. He did not kill his friend by accident or in a moment of heat. He planned the trap, he brought the weapons, and he hid the body for 12 days while pretending to be a friend. This shows that he is a very dangerous man who has no conscience and no respect for human life or the laws of the land. The police are also looking into his past to see if he is connected to any other missing persons or stolen motorcycles in the state because he admitted that he has stolen bikes before. It is possible that Babalola has a long history of crime that is only now coming to light because he finally took things too far and killed someone. As the legal process begins for Babalola, the community is left to pick up the pieces of a broken trust and a lost life while the police finish their reports for the court. The story of the fruit trader who killed his friend for a motorcycle will be told for a long time in Ondo State as a warning to everyone about the dangers of greed and the importance of choosing your friends wisely. The police commissioner Abayomi Oladipo has received a lot of praise for how quickly his team solved this case and found the body before it was too late to identify the victim. He reminded the public that the police are there to protect them, but they need the help of every citizen to report suspicious activities and strange smells in their neighborhoods. If the farm owners had spoken up on the first day they smelled something bad, the killer might have been caught much sooner and the evidence would have been even stronger. Justice is a team effort, and we must all work together to make sure that criminals have nowhere to hide their evil deeds. In the end, Babalola has nothing left but the regret of his actions and the knowledge that he will likely spend the rest of his life behind bars or face an even worse fate. The 130,000 naira he got from the motorcycle is gone, and the motorcycle itself has been seized by the police for evidence for the trial. He killed his best friend for nothing, and he has brought shame to his own family and his community because nobody wants to be associated with a man who kills for a bike. The victim's family will never get their son back, and the gap he left in their hearts will always be there even after Babalola is punished by the law. We must learn from this that money is never more important than a human life, and that true friendship is a sacred thing that should never be betrayed for any reason. If you have a friend who is showing signs of greed, or someone who asks you to go to strange places in the bush, you must be very careful and listen to your instincts. This is a very sad ending to a story that began with two children playing together in the streets of a small town and ended with one of them dead in a pit and the other one in handcuffs. It shows us that the world can be a very dark place and that we must always be on our guard against people who do not have good intentions for us. The police in Ondo State have done their job, and now it is up to the court to make sure that Babalola pays for every blow he gave to his friend's head with that stone and that wood. We hope that this story brings some comfort to the family of the victim, knowing that the killer has been caught and that he will not be able to hurt anyone else again. Thank you for staying with us through this long and difficult story of betrayal and murder in the heart of Nigeria. Real friendship is based on love and trust, not on money or property. When greed enters a relationship, it can turn a person you trust into a deadly enemy. Always stay alert and remember that no amount of money is worth the life of another person. Thank you for watching this report on Trem Crime Zone. We are dedicated to telling the stories that matter and keeping you informed about the world of crime. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button so we can keep bringing you these deep investigations. Share this story to help others stay safe.